Donald Trump and Republicans are attacking President Harris over her past comments on transgender issues. Take a listen.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Now, according to NPR, these ads have aired more than 30,000 times, including in key battleground states with a focus on NFL and college football broadcasts. ABC News Deputy Political Director Avery Harper is joining us now for more on this. So, Avery, is it possible that this issue is a sleeper issue of this election, that perhaps people are not paying enough attention to it?
I don't think so. You know, when you look at polling across the board and we talk about the issues that people are using to figure out exactly who they're going to cast their ballots for, this issue is nowhere near the top of that list. It's issues like the economy and inflation, crime and safety, things that are happening much closer to home that folks are caring about. But, you know, for a small number of folks, particularly those who are on the right, this is a very, mobilizing issue for some of these folks. And so it has played an outsized role on the right throughout the primary and now here in the general election. And I think the Trump campaign is betting on, getting folks out to the polls using this fear of what could happen under a Kamala Harris presidency to turn their supporters out to the polls.
And that's interesting what you said there about perhaps this issue playing an outsized role there on the right. So can you kind of take us inside the Trump campaign and why they might be thinking this is a good way to spend their money? Because as Selena just noted, I mean, Kamala Harris raised $220 million in a month.
You know, when you look at this issue, like other issues, social issues that we've seen, the fear of what could happen has been effective in turning folks out to the polls. And when you look at the polls, what we find is that particularly in these battleground states, the margins are razor thin. And so anything could be a deciding factor in terms of what ultimately happens in this race. And so I think what we're seeing is the Trump campaign trying to take advantage of that when it comes to this issue that many would consider political red meat. For the Harris campaign, Kamala Harris herself was asked about this in her recent interview with Fox News. And what she said is essentially that, she is somebody who followed the law and then under the Trump presidency that he had to follow the law as well. And so when we look at the Bureau of Prisons, we found that, during the Trump administration, gender-affirming care was taking place in the Bureau of Prisons for detainees, for inmates, and that included things like therapy, that included counseling, that included surgeries, and even medication for some of these folks who were under the Bureau of Prisons. Kana.
Right. She was asked directly about that by Bret Baier in that Fox News interview. So that's really interesting. She referred to it as a remote issue. Avery Harper, thank you so much for being with us. It's always good to have you back.